Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited to be here again for our next episode of Brighter Days Through Better Movement. I was having a little music glitch there. I like to have a little music that says, "Here comes the sun," because that's what this podcast series is all about as we get ready for the summer solstice, which is June 20th. I don't know what we're going to do on that day, but there's going to be some kind of party or celebration. Let's hope it's an extra sunny day. It is the longest day of the year. And it's also the day which is sort of our goal for helping people in our community be the healthiest and the best place they can be. It's been an amazingly tough year in many, many ways. And we're here to help provide you with some motivation, tips, and ideas, whether you're a high school athlete or an older person or a new parent, whatever it is, we have advice and help to get you being in the best place you can be by the time the summer solstice comes. So today, I'm really excited. I am joined by Shawn Petrucci. Shawn is an athletic trainer. He's an athletic trainer at Performance. And he also, as well as working in our clinics, is also providing athletic trainers for our student athletes over at Exeter West Greenwich High School. So Shawn, welcome. So pleased to have you here.
Oh, thank you for having me on here.
Well, tell me a little bit. You're obviously an athletic trainer, and everyone can, I'm sure, assume that athletic trainers are active themselves and have a passion for athletics, especially for our students out there. So, what have you done in the last year during the pandemic, or even as we're coming out of it? What have you done personally to try and optimize your health?
I'm more of a simple type of guy. Sometimes for me too, the weight room gets boring. So I like to do a lot of stuff outside. Last March when, the whole pandemic started to take place, I was just doing all the yard work that I could, mowing the lawn, making garden beds, planting trees and flowers. So I try and stay active without necessarily having to go to the gym if I can. So in the spring and summer and early fall, you'll see me outside. You won't see me in the gym very much. Yeah. But once the winter hits, that's when I usually start to hit the gym.
Mm-hmm. So how did you manage this last winter? And even now, I know it's starting to get a little warmer outside. We're just about ready for yard work. Tell me about how you managed without the gyms, and maybe you're back going, but even for those people who are still trying to work out at home, how did you manage it? And let's talk about tips for helping people actually stay active and exercise within their homes.
So luckily for me, my dad, my mom and dad, they have a nice gym set up at their house. So I'm not sure what everybody has at home to be able to use equipment. But you can do a lot at your house, even if you don't have a full weight set, with just some resistance bands, a few dumbbells that are within your resistance range that you're comfortable with. And just being active outside. Like if you have a dog, take your dog for a walk, go for a walk with your kids or your husband or your wife. That's usually what I try and do.
Mm-hmm. It's cold outside. I hear many people saying that, although it's getting a little warmer every week, and this week has been great. Let's talk about motivation. It can be hard to say, all right, I got to go for a walk. I got to get outside. How do we encourage people and get them motivated especially for those who are not naturally inclined to be active? And what's some advice for people? And then let's talk about our student athletes a little bit, or even the non-athletes. Many of our students have not had the seasons that they anticipated having. So let's talk about overall some motivation tips, and then let's focus a little bit more on our student athletes.
Yeah, sure. Finding motivation, no matter who you are, not everybody's a fitness guru. So just finding a way to find enjoyment in the exercise, no matter what it is. Say you like doing some stuff and you're just kind of tired of doing typical weight training. You can do some interval training. You can do some circuit training and introduce some more things like maybe using an app like the Peloton app that people started using lately. That's usually how I find ways to do things in the gym, is just finding something that's super interesting to me and then making it a little bit more interesting by adding like balance or, resistance bands, making it more challenging, changing up the routine a little bit.
I think you bring up a great point, is keeping things interesting and keeping them fun and things that you enjoy is key. I mean, for those people who can't stand the thought of lifting weights, and we all know that you should do some kind of resistance training sort of 2 times a week, sort of minimum, that's really what you need to do to maintain your optimal just overall health. It doesn't mean you have to suddenly have a pair of dumbbells, but there's other ways to do resistance training. Now, we did just show a quick video. We'll bring that up again, the fun little boomerang that you put together. Shawn in the clinic doing a sort of sit to stand on a chair or a mini squat, which I think is, it's a super simple exercise, but this is a great starting point for someone who's like, oh, I don't want to lift weights. Boy, you can use your body weight. You can do sit to stands on a chair. And then you can advance it. Do you want to speak about some of the ways you could advance this simple exercise, Shawn?
Yeah, for sure. We can introduce things like eccentric training, where we can slowly lower ourselves down to the chair. Typically I like to do like a 3 to 6, 5 or 6 second count on the way down, and just develop a little bit more tension through the muscle. Or you can even do like an isometric hold where you just hold halfway through the position at like a 45-degree angle. Without even adding any types of a resistance like a dumbbell, you can progress things like that.
Great point. So just to repeat what you just said so everyone's aware, that isometric, let's start with the eccentric. Eccentric, sometimes people call it negative work. It's kind of when you're almost fighting, you're going with gravity. So a lot of it is about control. And that's where the science shows there's actually some muscle damage happens there, but a lot of really good things happen as far as the strengthening process. So whether you're doing a biceps curl, it's not the curl up where most of the work happens. It's often as you come down. Same with when you're doing a squat. It's not the standing up, it's the gradually coming down and playing with your pace and being as slow and controlled as you possibly can will work your muscles in different ways. Same with the isometric. The isometric is just holding in one place. One of the big tips that I often get to people is like, isometrics are wonderful, especially when you're incorporating them with weight-bearing exercises such as the squat. And then the key is when you do it is to keep breathing. Think about the breath. Continue to breathe during those isometric holds, and that's going to help with your blood flow, the circulation, the nutrition, but continuing to optimize the benefits of that kind of strength training. So great points there about the isometric, eccentric work. Great ways to get that resistance training going on with a simple exercise such as a squat. Let's talk about a little bit an advanced one. We talked before we got together about the single leg deadlift, which may be one of my favorite exercises, and I hear it's one of yours as well, Shawn. Any key tips, and we'll show a little video of it, for when someone is doing the single leg deadlift, especially if they throw a kettlebell in there, about form and some of the important points you have to watch as far as the form for this exercise?
Yeah, so if you look at the video that you're showing up there now, I see a lot of the times when I'm showing people how to do a single leg deadlift, because it's not something that people functionally do very often, I like to keep a little bit of a bend in the knee that you're going into that hip hinge with, and leaning forward. It just kind of puts a little bit of a tension change on the hamstrings there, so the back part of the leg, but also trying to make sure that we keep our back or our spine in a neutral position, so not trying to round it too much or, kind of slunch over like we do a lot when we're in our chairs. And then also try to make sure we're not letting our hips rotate up too much towards the ceiling on that opposite leg that's swinging back.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, great points. And it's such a great exercise because you're working eccentrically and the other way as well, concentrically, we call it. You're actually getting a really wonderful stretch through your hamstrings and lengthening as well. And you really have to work your core also with it. It incorporates balance. So you've really got strengthening, core work, some flexibility and balance all in one, which I think is and there's lots of modifications, which is one of the reasons why I think this is a really cool exercise. You get a big bang for your buck with it.
Yeah, and you also get a lot of any single leg exercise, a lot of things that we do in life aren't on are on both feet. So it meets a little bit more of the functional demands of some of the things that we may be doing throughout the day, for activities or just regular, things that we do throughout our day. And we're also activating our glutes too, to try and stabilize through the hips there.
Absolutely. Yeah, those glutes, those are the biggest muscles in our body, our tush. And we don't tend to use those as much as we should because we spend too much sitting. And one of the things I like to remind people of is to the spine. Sitting is to the spine as is smoking is to the lungs. So sitting is not good for our backs and spines. So the more we can stand, walk, move, exercise, use those glute muscles, the better off our back's going to be. And back pain obviously is one of the key problems that many people deal with in life. So just the people who are out there listening in all different social media channels, I want to know you're there. Tell us you're there. Tell us who you are and where you are. That's the first thing I want you to do. The reason why I'd love people to do that is it means we will add you into the drawer or give you an additional entry into our drawing today. Today, we will be doing a drawing for an Under Armour bag. So it's a great duffel bag as well as one of our Performance PT hats. These awesome duffel bags, yes, they have our logo on them, and they are produced locally through a local vendor, Squad Lockers. So it's nice to be able to support our local businesses out there. So again, let us know you're there. The other thing you can do is sign up on performanceptri.com/live. When you sign up, that means that you will be in the drawing every week. So every Thursday at 1 o'clock, we go live with this session, and every week we do a drawing. So we've given away Yeti cups and bags and hats and vests. We've got the hyperizers, all different things. So we do have some listeners out there. Kristen from Stilson, it is nice to know that you are there. There's one of your colleagues, and Christina from Stilson as well. So I know that, Shawn, you, as well as being over at Exeter West Greenwich, you are also work with our physical therapists down at our Stilson clinic in Richmond. Tell us a little bit about some of the advice that or tips that you've given patients that you've worked with during the pandemic, or how you've encouraged them to stay active, or what messages even would you give them now? How are you going to encourage them to continue to move to be at the healthiest place they can be? And this doesn't have to be just about exercise. This may include information about sleep or nutrition or mindfulness. What are some of the other things that you've talked to patients about?
Yeah, sure. So, one of the things that I feel like I always kind of advocate for is that movement is very easy. Like I said earlier, you don't need a lot of tools to be able to move. If you're stuck at home and you're one of those people that has to work from a computer at home, and you're fortunate enough to do it, there's a lot of things that you can do at home too with, doing some squats in between, working with people online, going outside and going for a couple laps around your neighborhood quick at lunch. If you are in your office, take some laps around the office and, just try and stay moving all the time, because when we're sitting in our chairs all day, we eat breakfast, we're sitting down, at lunch, we're sitting down pretty much majority of the day. So just trying to move in any way is important.
Yeah. Or you can get a standing desk, because actually I am standing right now. I'm not sitting. So I do everything I can to stand and avoid sitting. So a standing desk, or even rising up with old telephone books. There's ways you can easily set up a standing desk as an alternative to be sitting down. So, Shawn, it's also National Athletic Training Month. I see Jen Gallant out there, one of our trainers, and celebrating that. And for those people out there who are like, what exactly do ATs do? Do you want to speak a little bit about what your role is when you're out in the community and working at the school? And we know you're over at Exeter West Greenwich, so hopefully some of the student athletes get a chance to hear this. So here's your chance to explain what you do.
Yeah. So, as an athletic trainer, we work in a number of settings, but we're very versatile. But to speak more in what I do at the high school setting, I provide I provide care to the athletes specifically at the high school, whether it be injury prevention, post-acute care. So if somebody gets hurt, I'm evaluating them, and then doing rehab as well. Within the school setting, we can do therapeutic exercise there. If an athlete does need surgery, we have a good network set up through performance, and at the school where we can refer athletes out, whether they need PT or they need surgery, or some type of medical imaging. There's so much that we do at the school and provide healthcare to the community at the schools. It's just a very important role there. So I do love it.
Yeah. Tell us what sports are coming up, and a little bit about, I'm sure there's people in the community, and I know they're still figuring out because of the pandemic where we are with what winter sports are playing now and what's happening with the spring sports.
So winter sports are coming to a wrap, or actually have already wrapped up, but now we're doing football. So football this year was moved from the fall season to what's now called the season 3. And that's the fall sports that didn't happen, which were football and volleyball. So those two are both going on right now for a season 3. And then the official spring sports will start up, I think, the end of April for the season 4.
Yeah. Do you have, as an athletic trainer, say I was a parent, which I obviously am, and I had kids who are high school athletes who all of their normal seasons have changed. Do you have any concerns as an AT about how the risk of injury has evolved because of the changes that have gone on? And I'll give you one simple example. The thing that comes to my mind is the ground is a lot harder, and now we've got kids playing football. Is there a concern that this will change the incidence of injuries or not?
Yeah, I would say yes. The thing with football right now, because of COVID, the contact isn't really at its highest amount. So I'm not 100% sure what the amount of time that they can be doing contact at the school with football. But yeah, even with just the cold temperatures in general, the ground is harder, like you said. So falling, contusions, the ground isn't as lenient or provide as much free movement. It's a little too rigid. It's almost like playing on turf, but even worse. So yeah, you will see some more injuries then.
Yeah, but the benefit outweighs the risk. So have you seen any trends in the school system as far as the kids? Obviously, they're all excited to play sport, and their mental health is definitely impacted by their levels. How's your experience been? And what have you seen in the school systems as far as the attitudes towards students about, are they nervous? Are they excited? Do they want to play? What are their thoughts on it all?
Yeah, I think the kids want to play. I think they're ready to go. They're tired of being held back. And just like with their schoolwork, they're tired of being held back. They want to get out. They want to spend time with their friends and, have the opportunities that all of us have had in our high school careers with sports. I think a lot about our seniors and how they weren't able to play spring sports in the spring, and then how some of our seniors now this year haven't had a normal basketball season or a normal football season. So I feel for them, and just to kind of speak on what you had said before with injuries and whatnot, there's a lot of things that I see this time of year, and especially with not having sports as a normal season, I should say, and in the sense that I'm seeing a lot more injuries at the school of overuse, or just because of that high increase of stress on the body. So if there's any advice that I could give the parents or their kids, is to try and do some stuff at home and get moving, or even if it's just running or doing some agility or cone drills out in your backyard to get prepared. That way you're not just going cold turkey back into sports, which seems to be the case with everybody right now.
Yeah. I think that those are really powerful words of wisdom, because, and I've looked at some studies where they've said, maybe it's good that some of the athletes, especially the 3-season athletes, have had a break, or the kids who play all year round. But however, the sudden increase in intensity is going to set them up for overuse injuries and breakdown of their soft tissues, just like it will for an adult. So I would advise anyone out there, whether you're a student athlete or whether you're a middle-aged or elderly person like myself, is that you really still have to allow your soft tissues in your body to accommodate appropriately. And you can't just suddenly go out and go for a 5-mile run if you haven't been running for 3 months, or get onto the football field and sprint for 2 hours and think you're going to be fine. You're not going to be fine. You're going to set yourself up for an injury, and that ultimately has detrimental impacts on your health with not being able to be active for a certain amount of time. So we've got some questions coming through. When actually we're looking for suggestions from the audience out there. What do you do at home to stay active? So I'd love to know what people are doing at home to stay active. Shawn's given some great ideas, and some of your ideas, Shawn, have pointed towards what's online, keeping it interesting, doing different things. And online, there's just a massive library now of resources. Again, whether you're a student athlete or not, it's very easy to go to YouTube, find a reputable service, and find a lot of great ideas. We obviously have a lot through Performance Physical Therapy. We try to put out a lot of information as well, but definitely plenty of ideas and suggestions out there. In addition to that, many of our local gyms and local training facilities have online versions, and I really like, again, supporting our local businesses, so feel free to support some of those. So looking for any other questions that people out there in our community have. While we're waiting for some of those, why don't we do a little drawing and see who is going to be our winner today of our duffel bag? So I think that we're either going to have one of my colleagues, either Sarah or Nick, come on when they're ready. Hello, Nick. He's going to do a drawing through his mystery spinner, just randomly going to select a winner.
We've got it coming up at random, and this is for the Under Armour duffel bag and the performance hat. And the winner is Rebecca Stroh. Congratulations, Rebecca. We'll be emailing you to get your information so we can get those prizes over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Nick. And again, for people who want to sign up so that they're in a drawing every single week right through to the summer solstice, look down there below, performanceptri.com/live. That's where you can sign up. And you'll also be able to listen to past episodes that we've had. We have had episodes that are focused on movement, on nutrition, on balance, on strength training, and much more to come. Next week, I just want to let you know, same time Thursday at 1 o'clock, we are joined by Dr. Sarah Goldstein. Sarah is a physical therapist. She's really going to be getting into children's development. So for all the mums and dads and grandparents out there, I would definitely recommend you come and join us next Thursday. And I know that Sarah's going to give lots of great tips of activities that you can do to maximize the flexibility and the mobility of your youngsters and get them ready for their high school sports, so that if they're at Exeter, West Greenwich, then they can work with Shawn, and he'll work with the prevention and management of any injuries that prevail. Let's jump over to another sort of topic, hot topic, and that's come up a lot in the pandemic, and that's to do with nutrition. And as my 17-year-old son likes to say, abs are built in the kitchen, Mum, not from the core exercises that I do, which is true. So do you want to speak a little bit about some advice that you might have, Shawn, for athletes out there on their nutrition, especially if they've got into a habit during a pandemic of thinking that Skittles are a food group when really they're not?
I mean, I love Skittles too, but yeah, so, find things that work for you is what I would recommend. Don't drive yourself crazy thinking about what you're eating for every meal. That's how you just burn yourself out when you're dieting. I think people dive in too much too fast when they're thinking about, I have to get ready for football, or I have to get ready for this sport, or I'm just trying to lose weight. They overdo it with their diet. Make sure you allow some cheat days. Allow a couple days a week that you like your favorite meal, your favorite ice cream. Keep a food diary so you can kind of track, I don't really recommend tracking calories, because like that's one of those things, like I just said, you just drive yourself crazy doing it. But just try and eat from all the food groups. I think it was in high school, I don't know when I learned this, but just trying to eat the rainbow of color. So, the more colors on your plate, the more nutrients and vitamins that you're going to have. So just try and add some more color to your plate. Whether it's through carrots, broccoli, any type of vegetable. And like I said, treat yourself. Vary the foods you eat too. Try new foods. Go to the supermarket and try some vegetables that you haven't eaten all the time, and maybe you might find that you can fit some of those foods into your diet more frequently.
Well, I love the rainbow of colors, and I think that's definitely a great way. When people say eat more fruit and vegetables, we usually think of, does that just mean I eat more lettuce or spinach? But no, we don't. Green foods. We like the orange and the red and even the purple as well. And it's certainly, the evidence shows it's the foundation of good health, is a balanced diet and getting all those food groups and having things that you enjoy as well. But we had Randy Barenbaum on here a little while ago, and I really liked Randy's advice is, before you eat, or when you're eating or before you eat, think, am I hungry? And so that you can really be conscious about your eating and knowing what you're eating, not just thinking, I'll just stuff whatever sandwich or cookie or whatever is around. Think, am I hungry? And am I eating this because I'm hungry, or am I eating it because I really like ice cream and it's a Sunday afternoon and I want to eat an ice cream? And that's okay as well. But just being really mindful of what you're putting into your body, because it is the fuel that feeds us. And especially if you're an athlete, what you eat and what you drink will have a really tremendous impact on your performance and your ability to minimize the risk of injury, or your ability to heal from injuries and pain as well. So, and for any student athletes out there, I'm sorry, but the older you get, the more important this gets. So the sooner you get into habits, good habits, the better. We've had one person reach out, Sarah Wilson. She likes to stay active with virtual bar and yoga classes at a local studio, which I love. And I know that many people may not know what bar is. It's a kind of exercise that actually pulls in a lot of strength, mobility, balanced exercises, not too much cardiovascular, but covers the whole other range of things. And many of our local studios have been able to offer these things virtually as well. Hey, Shawn, have you ever done a bar class?
No.
I'm going to challenge you.
I would be willing to try it.
Yeah, I'd like to see you try one. I have only done one once, and yeah, it was really hard. So it's good to try these new things and work our bodies out in different ways. Nick Valletta's out there saying he likes to go with hikes and do his strength training workouts. And I've heard lots of people talk about their Peloton apps. You don't just need a Peloton bike to use the apps. You can download the apps, just like many others, similar ones out there, and give you inspiration to move. All right, Shawn. Well, listen, any final words of advice or any final words of wisdom that you would like our listeners out there to encourage them to be the healthiest they can be?
Just keep moving. Exercise is good for the brain. It's good for sleep. It improves mental health. Any kind of movement just to elevate the heart rate, get a little bit of a sweat going, is good for you in a number of ways. So just keep moving.
I almost want to start singing the Shrek song, "You've got to move it," or however it goes. But I save everyone the embarrassment of me singing right now. But Shawn, thank you so much. Congratulations. I'm happy that it's National Athletic Training Month.
Thank you very much.
Celebrate all the athletic trainers out there. I know we have many in our communities, and they have extra challenges, especially this season with the changes in the seasons for our athletes out there and keeping them healthy and strong and injury-free. And when they are injured, helping to manage those injuries and get them back on the fields as soon as possible. And finally, Shawn is going to be a dad very soon. He's expecting his first child. So we wish you all the best and your lovely bride with the birth and the being first-time parents.
Thank you. I'm going to need it.
All right. Thank you, Shawn. We'll see everyone else next Thursday at Brighter Days Through Better Movement. We'll be here next Thursday with Sarah Goldstein, and I look forward to you bringing our questions then. For now, please go and enjoy the sunshine.